श्यामपतयोरयीणां वयं श्यामपतयोरयीणाम्। इदानीं पदम् इति चर्च्यते. What now we have seen what Atmanepada, Parasmaipada or Ubhayapada is from the previous discussion. Okay, we have vaguely understood what these are. Here we shall see them in a little more detail. Now this padam is an arrangement which is made by Panini to see to it that some of whatever derivations you do using the dhatu and the pratyayas, it results in a verb. If it results in a verb, it can belong to one of these three forms. It can either in the latlakara prathama purusha ekavachana, it can end with ti or te, or sometimes the same dhatu can end with either ti or te. Okay, now that is the basis for classification into Parasmai, Atmane or Ubhayapada. So he noticed that in whatever literature he had during his times, he has seen that Samskrita had sometimes ti in its latlakara prathama purusha ekavachana, and sometimes te, and then ti or te. The same dhatu could take either of these forms. So he was a little perplexed, and then he wanted to formalize the rules and systematize what the probable underlying rule was of Sanskritam in this context. Hence he made these divisions: Parasmai, Atmane and Ubhaya. Ubhaya means both. Okay, so obvious, it can take both forms. So here Parasmai and Atmane, this is what the grammarians have disputed over. Parasmai literally means for others, and Atmane means for oneself, for himself or for herself. That is the doer of the action. So now we have seen that the verbs are nothing but action words. So there is a doer of that action. If the doer of that action desires the forthcoming profits or the results of those actions for others, that is for the sake of others, then the dhatu, whichever is suitable to your meaning, should be chosen, which is from the Parasmai Padi division. Okay, seems convoluted? Yes, it is, because it is. Parasmai Pada, so what he defined it, or maybe whatever his post-Paninian grammarians defined it as, now these dhatus, when they are born, are put into these three divisions, one of these three classes. It can be either a Parasmai, Atmane or a Ubhaya. Okay, done. Next point is, those dhatus which belong to the Parasmai Pada group or this class should necessarily mean, when they form the verbs, that the result of those verbs are for others. For example, when I say Nayati means to take away, to carry away. For example, when I say Kandukam Nayati, it means the boy carries the ball away. Now this, because it has ti in it in the Latlakara Prathama Purusha Ekavachana form, it is a Parasmai Pada. Okay, you can make out that it is a Parasmai Pada from the mark, which is ti te or ti te, if it can take both of them. Let's assume that Nayati was an Ubhaya Pada. It means Nayati is also possible, Nayate is also possible. So then here the meaning of Nayati will be, he carries the ball away, and whatever happens because of that action, maybe the mother scolds or the teacher beats him, that he meant it for the sake of others. So he meant the result of him taking away the ball to be acting upon some other person, but not him. Which means the mother would scold his friend for him taking away the ball. Let's say Raju. Raju takes away the ball. You say Raju in Sanskrit. Rajuhu Kandukam Nayati. So then Raju, who is the doer of the action of carrying away the ball, intends to do it for the sake of others. Maybe because his friend asked him to bring the ball, or maybe his teacher asked him, or for someone else. But if we say Raju Kandukam Nayate, as per post-Paninian scholars, grammarians, that he intends to take away the ball of his own accord for himself, for whatever reason, but concerning himself, which is why it is called the Atmane Pada. Okay. Now this I don't actually like this definition, because okay, maybe that is applicable only for Ubhaya Padas, where you can change Nayati or Nayate, because ni, which is the dhatu here being used, is an Ubhaya Pada. It means it can take both forms, Nayati or Nayate, and it's or whatever its family. But what about those dhatus which have a fixed pada? For example, bhavati. It is always a parasmay pada. There is no word called bhavate. Okay, because it is born into the parasmay pada class. It should always end with ti, bhavati. In the pratama purusha ekvachana lat lakara. Okay, all of that. So what does that then mean? Does the same explanation of atmane parasmay which we have given to ubhaya apply here when it is fixed? When it is a niyata pada? I would say not, because then how will I say I want bhavati means to be, okay? He exists. Or maybe let's say she exists. Lata bhavati. Lata exists. Okay? If you are applying the same definition of parasmay pada, then it would mean Lata exists for others' sake, for whatever reason, but not concerning herself, which is what is the meaning of parasmay pada if you are taking it literally. But how? So let's say she actually exists for herself. So then I would have to say, according to this definition, Lata bhavate. But does it exist? No, it is strictly prohibited by Panini himself. So then what does it mean? It means, then they would say, the scholars would say that you will have to change the dhatu itself to suit the purpose. Then you will have to say Lata vidyate, where vidyate also means to exist, bhavati also means to exist. So then if you have a dhatu which is a niyata pada, which means it has already been fixed, that it should be either a parasmay or an atmane, then you have no other option but to choose another dhatu which means the same thing, which has the same meaning. Is that possible for every such meaning? Then does it mean that for every idea there are two dhatus, at least two dhatus, one from the parasmay pada class and one from the atmane pada class? No, it is not so. For example, let's say karma samaptav. There's a dhatu called sho avasane or karma samaptav, means to finish a work. Okay, it's the kriya pada becomes syati. Syati. It's by nature a parasmay pada by itself. It's a niyata linga, so it is a parasmay pada. Let's say then I want to mean that I finish my work because my boss said it. So it will be aham syami. I finish my work. Okay, maybe because I was influenced by my boss or my teacher. So it is parasmay pada. Okay, agreed. Let's say I did my work on my own of my own regard, of my own will, by my own will, for myself, by the people, for the people, to the people. So by myself, for myself, to myself. Then how will I say that? Should it become syate? But it is not so. Are you getting it? Then it will have become syate, but that is not allowed by Panini. There is only one dhatu with that meaning karma samapto. So what should I do then? If I want to say I did the work on my own regard, that is why this definition falls down. The whatever definition you are saying, or whatever definition these scholars are saying, apply maybe partially to the Ubhaya Padis. Even for example in the Ramayana you say, in Mahabharata he said, Ichhate. Somewhere Yudhishthira says, I want the dog to come with me in the Swargarohana Parva. I want the dog to come to the Swarga along with me. So that should be a Parasmay Pada, right? Ichhati should be a Parasmay Pada. But in fact, Vyasa or whoever has written the Mahabharata, he actually writes there Ichhate. or aichhata, which is a form of atmanepada. He in fact has deliberately wanted the dog, which is other than himself, so it should be a parasmapada, to come to Swarga along with him. If you know the story what I'm speaking of. So it should have been a parasmapada. And in fact, Ichhati is actually a parasmapada. But Vyasa, who was before Panini, has deliberately used the word Aichhata, meaning it's an Atmanepada. Why? It is because it does not fit the chandas. Maybe in Anushtup chandas, wherever he was using that pada aichhata, it did not fit the chandas. So he had to use aichhata instead of aichat, which should have been the actual usage. Another example, when you say tanoti, tan dhatu is actually an ubhaya pada. Okay, it can take both the forms. It can be tanute or tanoti, both the forms. Again, in some other places, maybe almost certainly in the Vedas, you see somewhere in the Ubhaya, being Ubhayapadi also, you see that Tanvanaha, which is a derivation of an Atmanepada. Okay, it has become Tanvanaha. When in fact, the whoever the writer was of that the Rishi who wrote that mantra wanted to say that Indra did it. He extended the Vedas, or he took it from Brihaspati. He learned the Vedas from Brihaspati and he gave it to the others. He gave it to others. So it should have been a Parasmay Pada. Then why the usage of Tanvana? You would rule it out by saying no, it is because it's Vedic language, so Paninian rules do not apply there. Okay, if Paninian rules do not apply to the Vedas, on what basis did Panini then write his rules? Is it either based on the Vedas or the Mahabharata or the Ramayana, which are the pre-Paninian texts, or maybe some other texts along with them? If each of them can be shown to have violating these Paninian's rules, then the question is really it is obvious. Then on what basis did Panini solidify these rules, right? So with all of these, now the gist and summary of all of this explanation and argumentation, logical argument, all of that on this one thing. According to me, at least, you can use the Parasmaipada, Atmanepada, Ubhayapada anywhere you want, as was used in the Vedas, because you find many places where who being a hakara kukara, ha and who, juhati was actually used as Atmanepada, like Havamahe, Huvema, all of that. So they have been used as sometimes as Parasmay, sometimes as Atmane, and in Vedic everything seems to be an Ubhayapadi. Okay. So my opinion on this matter is that I would say that before Panini solidified the rules, most of the usage was not as rigorous and was not people did not comply with the whatever said rules as much as they should have, according to Panini at least. So they had more freedom to write in their poems or maybe in whatever prose they wrote. However, for the sake of discussion and opinion alone, I have given my views. But as per Paninian Vyakarana, which is what is good to be followed today, because everyone else does that, so you'll have to succumb to the mass pressure. You'll have to say that Parasmay Pada is, although some dhatus are fixed, some dhatus, most of them are actually Parasmay Padis. If you see the Dhatu Patha, the majority of them are Parasmay, then some of them are Atmanepadi, and then Ubhayapadi you can consider them to be one of Parasmay or Atmanepadi. So generally the Churadi Gana, okay, somewhere around 400 dhatus are mostly Ubhayapadis, and so they can be put under either Parasmay or Atmane according to whatever context you want. So it is good to understand that Parasmay Padi are basic to grammar, this to verbs. So these are the most common forms of verbs, but there is also another called the Atmane form, or the te, with the te in the latlakara prathama purusha ekavachana. And there are some dhatus which can take either, so it would be right to use either of them depending on the context that you want, or depending on the chandas you want to write in, whatever. For now, you'll have to just be satisfy yourself with the definition that parasmay pada is just a rule which says that whatever dhatus are put under this parasmay pada division, don't take the literal meaning. They should always end with ti in the latlakara prathama purusha ekavachana. That's it. And then now this example of ending with ti is just a beginner's way of explanation. Okay. In fact, ti, taha, anti, si, tha, tha, mi, vaha, maha, and all of its lakara transformations, all of that form actually one family called the Parasmay family. So dhatus belonging to the Parasmay family, if they are to be converted into verbs, should only take up the what do you say? Parasmay family pratyayas. So it is like an inter gotra marriage. So this is like the Parasmay gotra, Atmane gotra. Here, if you belong to the Parasmay gotra, you will have to always marry a pratyaya which is also the Parasmay from the Parasmay gotra. Similarly with Atmane pada. So if you are born into the, if dhatu, you being the dhatu are born into the Atmane gotra, then you will have to always marry a Atmane gotra pratyaya only for forming your child, which is the verb. But if you are born into the Ubhaya pada gotra, it is almost cosmopolitan. You can either marry Parasmay pratyayas, or you can either marry Atmane pada pratyayas also. Understood? Hope the discussion was clear. Now let's just read it. No special or true meaning. Now this is my opinion, okay? Just different forms of verbs can be derived. All the three forms are equivalent in meaning, okay? Because of the aforementioned argument and by the logic that I have given, refuting the post-Paninian's theory, I would say that all these forms are equivalent in their meanings, and they have been used in the pre-Paninian times also as equivalent in meaning. It is intrinsic to the dhatu. Okay, so they are born by birth into one of these three gotras. Parasmay pada are huge in number, almost 75%. Then Atmane pada, then Ubhaya pada. Next class we shall see what itvam is. Dhanyavada.